if leadership feels complicated, let's simplify it.
This is Elite Leader Insights grounded in real practice, not just theory.
Today's discussion comes straight from the Elite Leader Insights newsletter, written by Donald Kunkel, founder of the Elite Leadership Center and author of The Foundations of Influence, The Power to Lead and Inspire.
Yeah, we're diving into something fundamental today. The difference between leading through, tight control versus leading through trust and empowerment. Let's break it down together.
Kunkel's writing kicks off with a really powerful, maybe slightly uncomfortable question for every leader listening right now. Would your team truly thrive if you weren't in the room?
Oof. Yeah, that question really hits home, doesn't it? It's the ultimate test of team resilience, I think.
Yeah.
The insight here is that centralized decision-making, where the leader has to approve everything.
Right, it feels safe to the leader.
Exactly. It feels like control. But paradoxically, it actually creates this huge structural weakness. It becomes a bottleneck.
A bottleneck that slows everything down.
Slows things down, stifles innovation, and maybe worst of all, it chips away at the trust you absolutely need to operate effectively, especially at speed.
It kind of positions the leader as this indispensable gatekeeper, doesn't it? Like, nothing happens until I say so.
Precisely. And the adaptive leader, as the material lays out, takes a totally different approach. It's not about doing less, not at all. It's about shifting where the problem solving happens, pushing it out to the edges of the organization.
Okay, so pushing it out, how does that work in practice?
Well, the core of this adaptive mindset is consciously, actively empowering your people, giving them the space and authority to tackle problems without needing to come back for permission every single time.
That sounds like, a big leap of faith for some leaders.
It can feel like it, but that kind of decentralization is what builds genuine organizational speed and resilience. It unlocks ingenuity that, frankly, a top-down hierarchical system just can't replicate.
Because everyone's waiting.
Because everyone's waiting. If authority only sits at the very top, the whole system learns to pause, to wait for the signal. And in today's market, waiting is lethal.
Waiting is the enemy. Okay, let's dig into the cost of that more traditional method, micromanagement. The source material calls it a performance killer. That sounds pretty dramatic, more than just a bad habit.
Oh, it's absolutely destructive. And not just annoying. It cuts right to the core of, human motivation. It attacks our need for autonomy.
Autonomy, the feeling that you have some control over your own work.
Exactly. And solid research confirms this again and again. When you undermine someone's autonomy, their job satisfaction just plummets. And what follows that?
People start looking for the door. Turnover.
Turnover skyrockets. It's not always that people feel watched, They feel fundamentally distrusted, like you don't think they're capable.
Yeah, if you're constantly checking in, hovering, the message you're sending, even unintentionally, is, I don't trust you to do this right. That psychological shift must be huge, right?
It's profound. The team's focus shifts. They stop aiming for, excellent outcomes or creative solutions.
And start aiming for
just pleasing the boss, compliance, making sure they don't get into trouble.
That's the crux of it, isn't it? When teams are micromanaged, they clam up, they stop offering new ideas. Why stick your neck out if you know the only thing that matters is ticking the boxes exactly as prescribed?
Precisely. They disengage from the real challenge solving the customer's problem or the company's problem, and they get laser-focused on managing upwards.
I think we've all seen that dynamic play out. It might deliver maybe short-term compliance on a very specific small task, but the research looking long-term, like Schermerhorn's work mentioned here, it shows overwhelming negatives, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Reduced morale, for starters.
Yeah.
Significantly weaker innovation because who's going to experiment? And ultimately, lower performance across the board. It's like leaders who hoard control unintentionally train their teams to be permission seekers.
It's the problem solvers.
Exactly. They create dependency, not capability. And that's the real tragedy of centralized control. It feels safe, but it's actually building fragility right into the system.
Okay, so if control is the bottleneck, the trap, then decentralization is the way out, the unlock. Now, here's a key takeaway Kunkel makes that I think is really important. Decentralization is empowerment, yes, but, and this is critical, it is not abdication.
That distinction is vital. You can't just dump responsibility and walk away. That's not empowerment. That's setting someone up to fail.
So how do you ensure you're actually enabling them, not just abandoning them with a problem?
Structure. It always comes back to structure and clarity. Real empowerment needs clear boundaries. It's not about giving vague assignments.
Okay, so what kind of structure are we talking about?
Leaders need to clearly define the areas where individuals or teams have independent authority. What decisions can they make on their own? Then, clarify the overall purpose, the why behind the work that guides all actions. And finally, set up effective feedback loops.
Feedback loops instead of approval chains.
Exactly. Replace those slow, stifling approval gates with mechanisms for learning after the action is taken.
But those conditions, boundaries, purpose, feedback, couldn't they just become another set of rules? How do you make sure this clarity doesn't accidentally stifle the very initiative you're trying to encourage?
That's a great question. It's about defining the playing field, not dictating every single move. Think of it like rules in a sport, they enable play. They don't prescribe the exact strategy for every second.
Okay, defining the sandbox they can play in.
Precisely. And studies show that this kind of structure, clear purpose, plus defined autonomy actually improves adaptability and coherence. It doesn't hinder it. If everyone truly understands the purpose, the commander's intent, which we'll touch on more,
Right.
then they can be flexible in their methods without losing sight of the overall goal. And the link to actual organizational performance here is really fascinating.
Tell us more about that link.
Well, there's a 2023 MIT Sloan study mentioned in the material that's pretty compelling. It found that organizations managing to combine a really strong, clear sense of purpose with genuinely decentralized decision-making, they accelerate their strategy execution.
They move faster.
They move faster, and they fundamentally outperform their peers. It turns out that when you trust people and give them a compelling why, you unlock incredible speed and focus.
And for the leader, is there a benefit beyond just team performance?
Oh, absolutely. Think about the practical side. Managers who have genuine autonomy, they relieve executives of so much day-to-day operational burden. It frees up senior leaders to focus on the bigger picture, on strategy, while adaptation and execution happen much faster at the team level.
That sounds like the dream for any executive drowning in emails and approval requests.
Okay.
Let's make this real, as the author suggests. Adaptability means designing systems where authority gets pushed closer to the actual problem. Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, let's look at some classic case studies where ingenuity really thrived without needing constant sign-offs. We can start with, maybe, the U.S. military. It's often seen as the foundational example for decentralized action, especially in high-stakes, dynamic environments.
Right, through their concept of mission command.
Exactly. Mission command. In those situations, combat, rapidly changing conditions, centralized control is just physically impossible. Forces are spread out, information is imperfect, things change second by second.
So it's a philosophy built entirely on trust and, crucially, clarity, right?
Yeah.
Senior leaders don't dictate the tactics.
No, they don't micromanage the how. Instead, they define the commander's intent. That means being crystal clear about the purpose of the mission, the key objectives, and, importantly, any absolute boundaries, the things you cannot do.
Got it. Purpose, objectives, boundaries.
And then the subordinate leaders, the sergeants, the lieutenants, the teams on the ground, they are fully empowered. They have the authority to decide how best to achieve that mission objective based on the situation they are actually facing in real time.
They adapt on the fly.
They adapt on the fly using their judgment. And research backs this up strongly. This practice builds initiative, develops leaders at every level, and makes the entire organization much more resilient because it trains people to act decisively under pressure. The focus is always on the result and the intent, not rigid adherence to a pre-planned procedure.
That principle translates surprisingly well to the corporate world, doesn't it? Even if the stakes aren't life and death. Like, look at 3M.
Right, 3M is another classic, their famous 15% rule. It essentially gave employees sanctioned time, company time, to work on passion projects, stuff completely outside their normal job description.
Permissionless space, basically.
Permissionless space for innovation.
Yeah.
And what came out of that? The Post-it note, one of their most iconic, incredibly profitable products, born from an experiment that wasn't formally assigned.
And Kunkel's insight here, I think, is that this wasn't just random luck or chaos.
Not at all. It was permissionless innovation thriving within very clear cultural guardrails. The company culture actively encouraged, celebrated, and rewarded that kind of bottom-up initiative.
Google did something similar, didn't they, with their 20% time?
Yeah, very similar concept. Giving engineers, I think it was 1 day a week, the freedom to explore ideas that interested them outside their main projects.
And again, legendary result.
Legendary results. Gmail came out of that. Google News. These weren't top-down directives. They bubbled up from that culture of deliberate autonomy. Studies on this showed it didn't just boost innovation capacity, it also significantly increased employee satisfaction and loyalty.
Because people felt trusted.
Because they felt trusted and valued for their ideas, not just their ability to follow instructions. When you give people that trust to pursue what they believe is valuable, you get incredible engagement and often these amazing, unexpected wins.
So pulling these examples together, the core message seems really powerful. Empowerment isn't about letting chaos reign. It's about disciplined initiative.
Disciplined initiative, absolutely. And it's guided by that clarity of purpose we keep coming back to.
Okay, so if that's the goal, disciplined initiative, empowered teams, how do leaders actually build that? This brings us to the practical framework Kunkel introduces, the TECCA Influence System.
Right. TECCA is presented as sort of the structural roadmap for leaders who want to make this shift. How do you maximize your influence precisely by distributing authority intelligently without losing coherence or direction?
So it's the how-to. What are the pillars of TECCA? I know it's an acronym. Trust, communication, credibility, adaptability, emotional intelligence. How do those 5 foundations help you decentralize effectively without things, falling apart?
Think of them as the essential mindset pillars you need to constantly cultivate. Let's take the first 2, trust and credibility. These are absolutely foundational for delegation for empowerment.
Makes sense if your team doesn't trust you.
Or if they don't believe you're credible, that you know what you're talking about, they won't feel safe taking risks. They won't act autonomously. They'll just revert right back to asking for permission for everything.
Okay, so trust and credibility are like the entry ticket, the fuel.
Exactly. Then you have communication and emotional intelligence. These act like the navigational system for the team. Clear communication prevents misunderstanding of that crucial commander's intent, ensuring everyone's pulling in the same direction.
And emotional intelligence.
EI helps the leader navigate the human side of increased autonomy. There will be friction sometimes. There will be imperfect outcomes. There will be conflict. Emotional intelligence allows the leader to handle that constructively, provide personalized feedback, and keep people engaged and aligned, preventing that drift.
Okay, so trust and credibility get things started, communication and EI keep things aligned. What about the last one, adaptability? That sounds like it's about the leader themselves.
It absolutely is. Adaptability ensures the leader remains a relevant guide, not just a rigid rule setter. Adaptive leadership isn't passive. It's very active influence.
Active influence, meaning?
Meaning you're constantly shaping the environment. You're adjusting conditions so that people feel trusted, feel inspired, and are able to solve problems effectively in real time. Your job shifts from making all the decisions yourself to optimizing the decision-making capability of your entire team.
That's a significant shift in focus. Okay, for everyone listening, the goal is always practical application. How can you start making this shift? The source material offers 5 really concrete, actionable takeaways. Things you can start doing, like, this week.
Yeah, these are designed to move you from that default impulse for control towards relying more on influence. The first one might be the toughest, requires some real honesty.
What is it?
Audit your own leadership control. Seriously, take the next week and look at every single decision that landed on your desk or needed your sign-off. Then ask yourself, brutally honestly, which of these truly needed my direct involvement?
And which could the team have owned completely?
Exactly. Which ones could have been handled closer to the action? That awareness is the first step.
That's going to be eliminating, maybe a bit painful for many leaders. Okay, number 2.
Define boundaries clearly. This is how you replace the need for permission seeking. Get specific. What are the domains where your team members can act autonomously? And, just as important, what are the clear escalation thresholds? When must they loop you in versus when can they just go ahead and act?
Clarity replaces control. Got it. Third takeaway.
This one is crucial for changing the culture. Reward initiative. Not just perfect outcomes, we tend to celebrate flawless success rate.
Right.
Instead, make a point to celebrate proactive problem solving. Even if the result wasn't perfect, you want people to take calculated risks, to try things. If you punish the attempt when it's not perfect, you absolutely kill the learning and the willingness to try again.
That's a huge shift in incentives. Okay, number 4.
Establish robust feedback loops. Ditch those agonizingly slow approval chains wherever you can. Replace them with post-decision reviews.
So the team acts, then you review.
Yes, the team takes action within their defined boundaries, and then you review it together. But the focus of the review has to be entirely on learning and improvement for next time, not on assigning blame.
Learning, not blaming. Okay, and final one, number 5.
You have to model adaptability yourself. It's simple hypocrisy if you preach decentralized decision-making, but then you yourself are rigid, unwilling to change course or adapt your own methods when faced with new information.
Walk the talk.
Exactly. Show flexibility in your own leadership. Demonstrate that adapting is normal, expected behavior that normalizes it for your entire team.
These 5 actions seem like a solid starting point. It really does all boil down to that final provocative question Kunkel poses. Are you, as a leader, actively creating problem solvers? Or are you accidentally creating permission seekers?
That's the core choice, isn't it? And the conclusion from all this is pretty clear. Organizations really start to thrive when their leaders make that conscious trade, swapping tight control for deep clarity and genuine influence. We've covered a lot from, the hidden costs of micromanagement right through to mission command, and the innovative cultures at places like 3M and Google.
So we really encourage you, the listener, to take that first small step this week. Pick just one decision you normally keep tight control over. Delegate it. Clearly define the intent and boundaries then. See what happens when you substitute trust for permission.
Thank you for joining us this week for this latest Elite Leaders Insights discussion.
To explore your personal leadership style and any potential blind spots, do visit eliteleadershipcenter.com and take the TECCA Influence Assessment. It's free for a limited time, it's quick, and you get a full report packed with personalized growth prompts.
And hey, if this conversation made you think, please leave us a comment. We genuinely love hearing from our audience.
Until next week, remember, leadership is influence and action every day, in every relationship. Let's build it together.